A psychiatrist familiar with knife-wielding dream demon Freddy Krueger helps teens at a mental hospital battle the killer who is invading their dreams. This is Movie Time Machine.
Hello and welcome to the first ever Movie Time Machine Monster Closet Edition, where we relive the nightmares from the past and survive them in the present. This week we'll travel back to the year 1987 and revisit the film A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors, directed by Chuck Russell and written by Wes Craven and Chuck Wagner. I'm your Time Machine host Chad, and before we get deeper into our movie discussion, I want to introduce my co-host today, Jamie. Why don't we just let everyone know what we've been watching or doing lately during this corona crisis?
Hey Chad, what's up? This is Jamie. I have been, let's see now, as you may know too, free time is actually not at a premium when you have kids in your home with them
Yes.
all the time.
Yep.
So those who are single or have a family with no children, just know that some of us do not have the free time that you do. So I hope you're making the most of it. But what I have been doing is, aside from a lot of workout videos on YouTube, I kind of feel like an 80s stay-at-home mom at some hours of the day. But Mickey and I actually just started watching a series on Disney Plus. I think it's called Continent 7. I guess the premise is just it's a docuseries about Antarctica,
Okay.
and it's really cool. If you have Disney Plus, I recommend checking it out. I think it's in the National Geographic library of that service, but it's kind of perfect for like those 2 a.m. bottle feedings for our newborn, because Antarctica itself is just a bizarre place. And when you're that tired in the
Yeah.
morning, nothing makes sense, especially a team of explorers driving like high-powered snow machines over open ice crevasses. It's the perfect show for the perfect time of the day. So
Yeah.
that's
Those
me,
National
Chad.
yeah, those National Geographic programs like that can be tranquil, and peaceful, especially
Yeah,
when it's
you're
set in
right.
Antarctica.
You're right.
So that it is perfect for a 2 a.m. nighttime feeding. So I'm there with you. Yeah. Yeah. Lately, it was my birthday not so long ago, and I spoiled myself and bought a Nintendo Switch, and I've been playing. Collectively, it's a lot of Animal Crossing, but that game is something that you could dive into for like 10 minutes, and hop out and you're good. You can just little tasks that you can knock out. So,
Can
and I
you
have like a brief, yeah, go, what's that?
Sorry, can you break that down for me? Because I'm a Nintendo loyalist who knows nothing about that franchise. So what is Animal Crossing? Can you explain it just a little bit?
Yeah, and it's essentially, it's kind of like, it's not like a super deep, it's just like you start on this island, you create like an avatar, the inhabitants of the island are all some kind of anthropomorphic animal people, like, and you just kind of you collect stuff, and it's all about like building up your home, designing like your home setup, so doing some decorating. It's kind of like keeping your island up.
So like a
It's
Sims kind of feeling?
Yeah, just not as deep. It's like you're collecting you know fruit to sell, make money, and you need to pay off the I would say it's the game's antagonist is is Tom Nook, who is the one that owns the island. And yeah, you start off with the tent, then you are in debt to Tom Nook, and it's about paying off that debt to Tom Nook, and then going back into to debt with Tom Nook. So that's essentially the whole that's the whole back and forth of the game. But it's like you can catch like insects or catch fish or plant trees, and you get like little like rewards for doing those tasks like so many times. So like say you pull weeds, like 50 times, you get like some nook points, and
Uh-huh.
then like you get another set for like the next 100, then like it builds up to like 300. It's just things. It's like hundreds of different like little tasks that you continuously like do throughout the game. It's not like your whole life isn't like I'm just going to pull weeds all the time. It's just you just do all these like tiny little tasks throughout the game. I'm probably not explaining it the best, but it's kind of relaxing. It's soothing. It's not very intense. Um, you don't need to be a genius to play the game, but kind of fun. It's given me opportunity to like here and there to play with my son. Um, just kind of get his hand-eye coordination going into the video game realm. So it's kind of
Attaboy.
fun to try to guide, you know, a young child to like connecting like physical movements into like a 3D realm. So yeah, that's been
He's picking it up.
a lot of time.
He gets it
Yeah,
and
I mean
can.
it's I mean he gets it, but I mean it's still difficult for him. So it's fun. He enjoys it. So
That's
he's
cool.
not getting a lot of like screen time with it either. It's kind of usually like we'll do it about 15 minutes after dinner. He
That's cool. Got to
kind of
start him
his
young.
yeah, he's a short attention span though, so he's easily distracted. But I've been doing that. Then I also we over this last weekend we rented the new Trolls movie, Trolls World Tour, which is all right, pretty entertaining.
Rock on.
Yeah, had some cool points. Had some other things that went on. I was like, what the talk about now kind of contradicts what they did with the rest of the movie, but it's an animated film, and there's some funny parts though, so it's pretty good.
Y-
It's way better than that movie Littlefoot, which I also watch with my kids, and that movie is fucking terrible.
Which one's Littlefoot? Oh, is that the Bigfoot movie? That's
Yeah, it's bad. It's awful.
oh, dang, dang. See, and I value your recommendations for kids movies because did I tell you that Evie's favorite movie is The Grinch? Have I told you that?
Oh, the newer one, the
Yeah.
latest. Yeah, no, you didn't tell me that.
Oh my God, I've seen that movie like 60 times. That's not an exaggeration. That's her favorite movie. It's one
It's
of
so good
three
though.
movies. It is. Yeah,
It's really good.
I feel like it's not on people's radars. I feel like they're and I understand it's not Christmas time, but if your kid has to pick one movie to watch over and over and over again, I'm telling you that I'm not sick of this movie yet, and I've literally seen it, like I said, at least 60 times.
Yeah, I mean it's hilarious. Awesome.
Yeah, music's good.
Yep, music. The voice acting is awesome. I can't remember off the top of my head who does the voice acting roles in that
Yeah,
movie,
Ben
but
Oldall's
that's really
Cumberband,
good.
and Keenan Thompson's hilarious. I laugh
Oh
every
yeah,
time he.
he's like the bearded guy.
Yeah,
Like who? Yeah, he's awesome. He's like the
Frickle Bomb.
super. Yeah, he's like the super. Well, they're all super happy Christmas people, but he's like super. Because is anyone that gets like the Christmas tree?
Yeah,
I think,
yeah.
yeah.
Three
It's a
times
good
the
movie.
eggnog.
Yeah.
Oh, love that
Oh,
movie.
speaking of Kenan Thompson, did you get a chance to? Did you watch that? What's up with that SNL skit I shared on the group chat today?
Oh shoot, no, I haven't seen that one yet.
Okay, no pressure. No
No
pressure.
Pressure is just the
But
funniest SNL skit of the past 20 years.
I mean, I think it's funny, and I always, which probably means everyone else doesn't like don't think it's funny. But I mean, it was on like multiple times over like many years, so someone liked it. I loved it. But
Okay, I'll check it
oh,
out. Doesn't take much to twist my arm for SNL clips, so you
all
could call
right,
me
all
a
right,
fan.
okay, all right. So Jamie, this is our first. We've been talking about this for a while to do, just like a special segment within our podcast where we dive into horror films and maybe dive into some older movie like monster films, and we talked about like Godzilla and a little bit like that. So to kick it off, you watched Dream Warriors, and you said you wanted to do this for um, our Monster Closet special edition, where we cover horror films. So, um, yeah, do you want to go into like why did you just randomly pick this? Was it something I was just on, or like what kind of tipped you or had you lean into this movie for this
So,
podcast?
so I'm gonna give you more detail than you would like, but
Yeah, no, go
for
ahead. The more the merrier.
well, I guess first of all, I just wanted to say for the Monster Closet edition of our horror episodes, like you mentioned, we talked about it, and I have in the past too outlined that it's my favorite genre when it comes to film, and
Yeah,
doesn't always get the space it deserves in you know other media outlets. But some of my favorite podcasts are horror podcasts, so I guess I was kind of inspired by them in a way, and also just wanted to carve a space. And I know you like horror movies too, which is great. So I just wanted to maybe make it a special segment for our listeners who are fans of the genre. So maybe just kind of like a special treat for them here and there whenever we get down to recording these episodes.
yeah,
So yeah, I guess that was the motivation for that. But for Dream Warriors, it's really dumb because it goes against my belief of, I have a really hard time watching a movie from a series out of place. Like I'm OCD legitimately. I know people throw that word around, but I am OCD in this way where I can't watch like the Two Towers. If I'm going to watch the Two Towers, I have to start with Fellowship, and then I have to watch the Two Towers after that. And then I won't
right,
feel right if I don't
right,
watch Return of the King immediately after that.
right,
So,
right. But you
so
don't get that feeling with this film, is what you're saying.
well, the reason I watch this is because Vudu does this thing where they offered a $2 rental credit if I streamed one of their ad-free movies for the month, and this was on
Oh,
there,
nice.
and I was like, oh man, and for this franchise, I've only ever seen the original Nightmare on Elm Street, the remake, and Nightmare on Elm Street 2. And I
Okay.
had always heard, and I know you like Dream Warriors. I've heard it's a fan favorite among the franchise, if not people's favorite. So it's like, oh yeah, I'd love to see that movie anyway. So might as well get my rental credit and stream it. And then I knew you
Yeah,
liked this movie, so I figured it'd be a good pick for us to start with.
yeah. This was fun. Because I don't think I've actually watched this movie from beginning to end since um the first time I watched this film. So it's been quite a few years since I've sat down and watched this movie, and yeah, it's a good treat. I mean, we get to it later, but it's kind of one of those movies you watch, and at least for me, where you kind of just like smile and chuckle through like a majority of the film, and it kind of is like a nice little throwback for me, I guess, that makes me a little nostalgic of my childhood, because just the Freddy character, in general, was so iconic um, in the 80s. Because if you're talking about horror films, slasher films, it was always Freddy. It was always Jason. I mean, there was really no other. And if there was another, you were fronting because it was all about Freddy and Jason.
Really?
Um,
Even that's some mad shade for Michael Myers.
yeah, I mean, I guess that's my experience, but yeah,
Oh wow, I
yeah,
I I, just, I find that super interesting because, but you know what, I might agree with you just from anecdotal personal experience. I'm harder pressed to find someone who's a Halloween franchise fan more so than the franchises of Nightmare or Friday the 13th.
yeah. I mean, because we didn't get a Freddy versus Michael Myers movie. We didn't get a Jason versus Michael Myers movie, right? Did
That's
we
true.
did we get any cross? Like, no, we didn't get like a Halloween cross
No,
Nightmare. Which, man, that would have been good, but I mean, that just wasn't. Yeah, because I think we were discussing this earlier before we started recording. Is that before they actually made the Freddy versus Jason movie, which we both agreed was terrible, but
Yes.
building up that movie that had always been like a long, standing rumor that had been passed along, and whether there was any like evidence of that rumor, of any kind of work on that movie being done before that, I don't
Mhm.
remember. But it's just kind of those things that was always rumored, like on the playground,
Yeah.
kind of thing. So, but
Well, and I wanted to maybe hammer that point home a little bit more. So for kids of a certain age, like even millennials, I'm spoiled in this way, but I got a bit of what you're talking about, Chad. The fact that, like you said, we created these fantasies on the schoolyard, and it took that long for the Hollywood machine to take that and make a movie. Like that just didn't happen. Like I'm thinking of the Marvel franchise and just thinking of like the comic books I read as a kid. And
yeah,
you would think the same thing, like, oh man, it would be so cool to see, whoever, Spider-Man in a movie, the Avengers in a movie. Like that didn't happen right away when you were a kid and you found something cool that you liked. So just I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but
you're trying to.
that
It was. I know exactly what you're trying to say, Jamie. There was a period in our history where being, a big nerd was more difficult to do than it is today.
yes. Yeah,
there wasn't much out there for you, like you kind of maybe had like your little niche thing, or it was mainly like in comic books, or like the few movies that were out there. But yeah, when it comes to like Marvel superheroes and stuff like that, especially before like the MCU universe blew up, like in that series of films, like there was nothing. There's lots of attempts like on TV,
hmm
which just they failed. They didn't look good, and a lot of the most successful stuff was done in animation. So, which a
yeah.
lot of there's which you can check out on Disney Plus if you have that, which you do. Like there's some like the old like Spider Man
Oh yeah, the old
runs
X-Men
on
series
there.
is one of my favorites.
Yeah, yeah,
I love
yeah.
that show.
That's good. If you have Disney Plus, go check that out. But yeah, let's talk about Dream Warriors. It was starring the iconic Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger. Um, Heather Langenkamp as Nancy Thompson, who was in the first movie.
Yep.
Craig Wasson as well, who is the as Dr. Neil Gordon, who is also. I feel like at first I was like, "Is that Bill Maher?" Because he really looks like Bill Maher. And this is Patricia Arquette's first role as Kristen Parker. I think we're kind of like the big stars that kind of. I wouldn't say they're not all big stars, but this is a film that had a budget of 4 million
hmm
and made 44.8 million box office. So okay, not too bad for film coming out in seven.
Right. It's respectable.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, 4 million is. I feel like. I guess when you talk about movie budgets, it's pretty low. Which I think a majority of it is spent on the special effects
Yeah.
in this film. um, I think with most horror movies when this first came out, I don't think it was your usual big critics, of course didn't like it. But
hmm
currently, if you look at ratings on Rotten Tomatoes, currently has a 74% score with the audience score of 68%. The average score on IMDb is 6.6, and the Letterboxd average score is 3.5.
So that's I and I want to say too that most they're not trilogies. That's not the right word because usually the series continues, but most third entries are not this highly regarded, if I'm not mistaken, especially in a horror franchise.
Right?
Like
Good
this one's
call.
kind of special in that way.
Yeah. I think if you want to talk like entertainment too, for the year 1987 and movies that came out, was pretty cool year for movies. We have. I know we just reviewed Full Metal Jacket that year, but yeah,
Hmm.
Princess Bride, Full Metal Jacket, Dirty Dancing, Lost Boys, Spaceballs, Predator. And when we're talking about horror films, we got Hellraiser comes out that year.
Oh,
Raising Arizona, RoboCop. Your favorite movie, Three Men and a Baby.
I've never seen that.
um, Schwarzenegger's Running Man, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Adventures in Babysitting. Evil Dead 2.
Oh, I love that movie.
Monster Squad. The Witches of Eastwick. Oh,
You
another
name
favorite of yours. Summer School, starring Mark Harmon.
Mark Harmon.
Police Academy 4. I mean, it just list goes on. Throw Mama from the Train.
Wow.
Creep Show
Yeah,
2.
you're right. We're gonna have to pencil this year in when we talk about best movie years whenever we eventually get around to that long, exhausting episode.
Yeah. And it was also an awesome year for video games. I think this is the year that I got a Nintendo. Because we
Oh,
get,
the NES.
yep. So you get Mike Tyson's Punch Out, Mega Man, Zelda 2, Contra, Metal Gear, Castlevania 2, Dragon Warrior 2. Yeah, the list goes
Man,
on, man.
Contra
Blades
rocks.
of Blades of Steel. Speaking of Nintendo games, did you know that they made a Nightmare on Elm Street Nintendo game?
I did not.
Yeah,
Any good?
it is awful. It is awful.
Oh, I was just setting you up for that one. I read your notes. It's garbage. So,
Yeah, dumpster fire.
oh, did you ever play the Friday the 13th one? Rumor has it that one's actually kind of good, but I never played it.
The Nintendo one?
Yeah, isn't there an NES? I think there's an NES Friday the 13th where Jason's like damn near impossible to beat at the end. He's the final boss.
I don't remember that. I know a few years ago they released a Friday the 13th game that was like a multiplayer game that's really cool.
Oh, I always wanted to play that one. Yeah, yeah. Oh, so here's your trivia. So why is Jason the final boss in Friday the 13th? We all know, thank you, Scream, that Mrs. Voorhees should have been the final boss. I have some questions for the game developers.
Oh
Anyway,
yeah. I've never seen Scream.
what?
Yeah.
No way. Oh,
Yeah.
was this in your movie Black Hole?
Yeah, because what Scream came out in '96.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
I don't.
Chad.
Scream was probably was. I started watching it today. I watched like the first 15 minutes of it.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, maybe if we're gonna start doing more horror movies, maybe I should probably actually watch Scream. But I started
Yeah.
watching. I was like, oh, this kind of reminds me of Saw. Just not as like hardcore. I was like, do you want to play a game? I was like, hell yeah, Saw.
Hell yeah. Oh, I'm not exaggerating when I say that Scream is one of my all-time favorite movies. I may have seen that more than well, not Home Alone, but it's close. I love that movie. We need to save that for a Monster Closet episode in the future.
Okay, I'm down. I'll try to finish it. I think it's on Showtime right now, so I'll try to at least get that under my belt and take some notes.
Yeah, yeah. I actually recommend the first three. I liked four, but the first three are good. First two are really solid. Three's not as good, but it's still fun.
All right, right. Put that calendar.
Sweet.
All right, so Jamie, what? Um, give me some thoughts on this movie. Like, what? So you said that you liked this film. For me, like I said, this is like the first time I went back and watched this film since I originally watched it, and I like it. I think it's just a really fun movie, and I really forgot about how like the deaths in these movies were so just how they're done. Like there's always some kind of theme to each death and some kind of like little trick to each one of them that made them entertaining to where like it's not terrifying, I guess, in the most part for me. It's maybe more terrifying as like as like a 10-year-old watching this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really forgot about that. Just like how the deaths were and like just all the Freddy one-liners, like everything started coming back to me, and um, that's I think for me is like was like the most enjoyable part, and always like the little like cliffhangers at the end of these movies too, of like, oh no, he's not dead yet, like he's gonna come back.
You didn't quite get him.
Right. So, and I think I went through like a list or a series of YouTube videos. They was trying to watch all of the like last scenes of at least like the first like 5
Okay.
Elm Street films and just how they ended. And I think the 5th one, there wasn't like any kind of like crazy scene where like Freddy comes back. It was like they were like at like a fountain, like a couple was like coming up to this fountain and like, all right, let's make a wish, and they threw like a coin in the water, and like right as the coin hit the water is rippling, and you see, I mean, spoilers if but the movie's been out forever, but you see like ripples in the water and you kind of see an image of Freddy.
Mm-hmm.
Then like the idea is that she makes a wish to make him go away, I'm guessing, and like he disappears. Then her boyfriend's like, what did you wish? And she's like, well, if I told you, it wouldn't come true. And that's how it ended. But all the other ones end with like this one ends with like the house that Patricia Arquette character made out of like the paper mache and like popsicle sticks.
Yeah.
At the end, like the light comes on. There's the one where like the girl is like going out to meet her friends in like the car, and like the car is like red with like the red and gray stripes on the top of the car. Like the windows are rolled up and they're getting smoked out and they're screaming. Then it shows like her mom like waving goodbye, and like Freddy's arm comes through like the door window and like pulls her through the door. That's how the movie ends. But
that's the first one. The second one actually kind of freaks me out, and I don't find these movies to be too scary.
Yeah,
they have their moments, but the second one is when he's on the bus and he realizes that Freddy's driving the bus.
Oh yeah, that is freaky.
Yeah,
yep.
And
because he's like, well, first.
Oh, what were you gonna say?
No, go ahead with your thought.
No, you go. I insist.
I forgot already. It was like I was trying to think it's because he's like they're going down the road in the bus and he starts freaking out and he's like, "Slow down! You're going too fast."
Yes.
Then then he turns like the girl behind him too is like, "Don't worry, everything's gonna be all right." And like Freddy's claw hand, like busts through her chest.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that one gets me because it builds the tension. 2 reasons. It's just tension wise, it's very, very good. At slowly revealing parts of the dream and then realizing that he's in the back of the bus and there's nowhere to go. And now, I don't know about you, but I take the bus to work, and I swear to God, some of these drivers, while I love it as a passenger, they will ride the shoulder to avoid traffic. And some of these guys are going 50, 55 miles per hour on the shoulder. And I'm just like, it's one loose thing of gravel to send us into a lake, or like I have to like put my head down into my book or turn up my podcast and close my eyes. It scares the shit out of me. I had
a driver once like rip off like she hit like the mirror, like a truck next to us, like some of those like big like pickup trucks have like the big mirrors on the side, like it has like a dually. But yeah, she knocked the fucking mirror off the side of the car, and she kind of slowed down, like she was gonna like stop. Then she just kept on going. I'm like, all right, I gotta get home so I can pick up my kids.
Right. Nobody got time for that.
But speaking of buses, the craziest thing I've seen on a bus was when I was riding a bus um, out to Berkeley, California.
Mhm.
And when we were in Nevada, I think it was Nevada, there was like a deer that ran. Maybe it was in Colorado. A deer ran out into the road, and the bus hit the deer, and like
Mhm.
it hit the deer, and it just like split that deer in two. I
Oh.
saw it like happen. Like I was like, "Holy shit! I've never seen anything that gruesome before in my life."
Oh my God.
That would fit well with the Freddy theme here.
Right. Oh, no kidding.
What's wrong? Got a backache? uh,
Oh shoot. Um, well, back to your question though.
yeah,
So, first impressions, what I liked about this movie, it's very hard. So, with the third film in a franchise, especially horror, you have to keep it fresh, which they do by introducing the Kristen Parker character, which is Patricia Arquette. Um, so we find out early on that she has this power to pull people into her dreams. And so before, I think it was safe to say that Nancy was the only one who figured out that the way to beat Freddy was to overpower him by convincing yourself it was a dream and then ignoring him. Like the way she does it is she turns her back on him, ignores him, and then has the power to bring him into our world and kill him. Some variation
right.
of that.
Yeah,
Anyway, this is like an inversion where Kristen can bring people into her dreams and then they can overpower Freddy. And it's like the the comparison I would make is when I think of, possession films like The Devil, it's they do a great job of convincing you that evil exists. But what's the opposite side of that coin is like in order to win, if there's a devil there has to be a god, right? I mean just if if that's the thing that they're saying. So in order to overpower that, you have to remember, your faith, your God, whomever, to overcome that evil. So in this, they're saying that, okay, if Freddy can come into our dreams, it's still our dreams. So we have to remember that so that we can overpower him and vanquish him that way. Because he's still an invader in our mind. This home court for us. So let's turn that on him and take it over. Hence, Dream Warriors. But I do think it's cool the idea of pulling different people into your dreams for inactivity that's just so like try describing your most vivid dream to somebody. It does not make sense. No matter how hard you try. It's just such a singular personal experience. So to be able to pull someone else into that with you, I think is super cool as a concept. Um, but like you said, the kills. So I think the the while there's a couple that are pretty gruesome throughout the franchise, the one that like legitimately creeped me out, like made my skin crawl, was Philip the marionette death.
yeah, yeah,
Oh, that was disgusting.
yeah.
And
Disgusting and really cool.
yes, agreed.
Really quick though, hold your thought on that. Is that
Yeah.
when he is so like it has a scene where Freddy's like ripping his tendons out, and that's what he's using to like walk him around like a puppet. Then it has a scene where Philip is walking down the hallway, and the like one of the staff working there has like her back turned, and he's like walking down the hallway, and then he like magically goes right through the door.
Mhm.
And I was like, well, why didn't he just go through the wall in the first place? Or like, he can go through the door. How come he doesn't fall through the floor?
Right.
Anyway,
Shit.
that's
I
not
forgot
that
about that.
Not that broke the movie for me.
Right. Right.
It's just a silly thought. But
No,
anyway,
that's a good
so
point.
Philip the mannequin, or not the mannequin, the marionette.
The marionette. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I gave it respect because I didn't think, these movies are it's fun for me. It's more like a cheeseburger or junk food. I don't really seek out the Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street franchises for like my serious scares.
Yeah.
So when it can get under my skin like that, I have to give it props because I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, it's a pretty good scene. It's kind of gruesome too, and there's some good effects on that when he's like pulling the tendons out, and yeah,
Right.
and the the creepiest, or not, maybe it's not really creepiest part of the movie, but it just makes me think of too, like there's this idea of like these kids are being murdered, right, by like this paranormal, or like this, he's a demon, right, essentially.
Mhm.
So, but no one will really believe the other kids, like what's going on, because they're just like, well, he committed suicide. I'm like, no, it's like, you know, it's like the kids are trying to explain what happened, but like no one really believes them. And plus, they're in a, you know, um, not a sane asylum. What are they in? A loss of
They're in
words.
a psychiatric ward.
It's like, yeah, they're in a psychiatric ward. It's in the synopsis, Chad. They're in a psychiatric ward. So, like, of course, no one's going to believe them. So, it's the whole idea of, like, even if they could try to, kind of cry for help, like, no one's going to fucking believe them because they're going to sound crazy because they're in a psych ward. I
Right.
kind of like that twist on it. But, yeah, you started going down the deaths. Why don't we just go down the line since we're on that topic
Hmm.
right now? I have them listed here, and I don't know if I have them really in order, but we'll just go through them anyway. And um, so I had Phil as number one. Then I think the next one is Jennifer, the aspiring actress,
Yes.
which I think is maybe my favorite in this movie. And this involved like the only time that Robert Englund like improvised like any of his lines. It was like the ready for prime time, bitch. Where he picks her up and smashes her head into the TV, and there's actually some great cameos too for really old people when we get the it was a Dick Cavett interviewing Zsa Zsa Gabor. Then like Freddy like ends up like taking like Cavett becomes Freddy and he slices Gabor, then he becomes a TV. But yeah, I really like that scene of Jennifer getting smashed into the TV.
That's a good one. And you know what? When I first started watching this, I thought for sure that was Jennifer Tilly. It is not.
Yeah, right. That's,
Yeah.
I don't know. I was thinking that looked like somebody familiar. That's probably what I was thinking. But yeah, good call.
Yeah.
But it
Penelope
is not.
Sudrow is her name. Yeah.
All right. So next I have Taryn. So her in her dream she becomes like the badass like punk rocker, which she's like, I can't remember the line she says too, where after they all get hypnotized and they all like kind of reveal what their dream power is, and she's like, I'm something something something. She has like a switchblade knife and she throws it out. She's like, and I'm bad. But like, yeah, Taryn, her death is because she's like the drug addict, right, in this film, and
Yeah.
has like the drug problems, and her scene is where Freddy has like the I call it the heroin fingers, the fingers of like
Heroin.
syringes,
Yes.
and she ODs on Freddy's heroin fingers, and he's like, "Let's get high." His fucking one-liners. Oh, poor Taryn. All right, so next on here I have Will, who was the kid in the wheelchair, and his dream power is the wizard. He's like a wizard, right?
Hmm.
Cast spells and shit. So if this was done today, he'd be like fucking Harry Potter or something. I'm guessing.
Come on.
But
Oh,
yeah, this is where they
oh,
have the scene like you're at the hallway and it has like the wheelchair full of spikes.
yeah.
But anyway,
That
Freddy
one
gets
that one
him.
bummed me out though. That one bummed me out because he's the first one to figure it out, and you're like, oh shit, he's gonna be able to fight back, and then
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right.
that's quickly put to rest.
Yeah, because he kind of avoids like death at first. Then Freddy ends up getting him, and he stabs his knife fingers into his chest, and
Yeah.
his one liner here is, "Sorry, kid, I don't believe in fairy tales." I love this shit. It's so dumb.
Oh, it's
And I
perfect.
think I have some other characters like I have on here, but they don't die, so I'm just going to skip ahead. But I want to circle back to like what happens to him though. Um, then we have Donald Thompson, who is Nancy Thompson's dad from the first movie. He dies after like they do some. Freddy kills him after like they have to go find his fucking bones and shit, and it's in like the junkyard. They have to whatever bury him and like do the holy water shit. But whatever, not very significant. I don't even remember what the line was to that one. Do you?
What was?
What like if Freddy had a one-liner for that one? I thought that was kind of pretty nonchalant.
I think it was the one liner was, "This is the worst part of the movie. Fast forward."
Right.
Oh, I hated that part. I
Oh
hated it.
god.
But we
Oh,
can
then
get it.
yeah, right. Then he comes back as Ghost Dad.
Ghost.
I have
Right.
I have your Ghost. Yeah, because then his daughter Nancy, who was in the first movie, um, is actually, which I thought was pretty bold. They actually fucking kill like a main character that's kind of part of the series, and
I know that was a bummer.
yeah,
That was a
where
bummer.
like she
I
sees
thought
her
for sure
her
Nancy was gonna make it.
yeah, right, and yeah, so she sees like her ghost dad, and like she goes to give him a hug, and then like Freddy like jacks her in the stomach. Um, I want to go back. I thought some of the Joey, who is like the mute, where he falls in love with like the nurse. Right, and I here it's
Yeah.
that scene, that makeout scene. It's like your '80s obligatory nude scene, where you got to get some kind of like at least topless scene into an '80s film. So he
So
starts,
you're not wrong for what it's worth, and
yeah,
I don't mean to sound too perverted. That is one of the most beautiful women in one of those scenes that I've ever seen. Just let the record show that.
okay,
That's
I'll
all I
take
have
your
to
word
say
for
about
it.
that.
I'll take your
That's all I
word
have to
for
say
it.
about that.
But yeah, so Joey's like making out with her, then like his like tongue like it's like a whatever. It's like stuck to her tongue or some shit, like melts together.
Right.
And like ends up like tying Joey to like the bedpost with like tongues.
4 different
And these
tongues.
4 different tongues. He's a mute. And Freddy's line is, "What's wrong, Joey? Feeling tongue tied?" Oh, it's fucking stupid.
He's like Freddy Krueger's like secretly Sean Connery's James Bond's cousin. I think that's what's going on here.
Right? I like that. I like that comparison. Then we have Kincaid, who's his dream power is super strength. And I don't have much to say about Kincaid, but
Oh, I was
except
glad
for
he
I was
didn't
always
die.
cheering for him. Yeah. I was
Yeah.
always cheering for him. Then you have Kristen, who's played by Patricia Arquette, whose dream power is gymnastics.
was all that caffeine, just putting it to work in her dream.
Oh yeah, I'm glad you bring it up because isn't that in that first scene where she's like taking like a spoonful of like instant coffee and like slamming it down with a can of Diet Coke?
I know.
Uh,
Oh man.
but yeah, I mean, not too many deaths in this film. I think there's only 7 deaths total, so not too bad.
Yeah,
Not too bad. We lose a main
yeah.
character,
Well, it's
but
kind of an inversion in that way too, where he doesn't kill everybody, but one, enough people survive that I
yeah,
think that's a cool
yeah,
misdirection.
yep. There is a okay. I want to touch on this too because this is something I do not remember from this movie is that we get more of like Freddy Krueger's origin story in this
Yes,
movie because we
I'm
get
so
like
glad you brought this up.
yeah, so like we get like glimpses of what's his name? What's Bill Maher's name in this? Dr. Neil Gordon.
Doctor, yes.
Yeah, so he sees like the sister, right? And like she
Hmm.
eventually like sees him in part of the building and tells a story that he was Freddy Krueger or whatever story about this woman. She got stuck or locked in this psychiatric facility and was raped by 100 maniacs. And
Plotline you could not run with today, for the record.
right, right. And the bastard son of 100 maniacs. Um, so and this bastard son was Freddy Krueger. Then again, spoiler alert, we're just under the assumption that you've watched this movie and we're just talking about it and we're just trying to make you laugh and share our stories together. But so we find out that at the end, not the end scene, but close to the end where they're at the funeral for Nancy, is that he walks over to that gravestone and it has that woman's name in it, and I wish I didn't put it down. Sister something something, but
Amanda Kruger.
Amanda Krueger, which was Freddy Krueger's mom, and the story that the woman told that was in white was Freddy Krueger's mom, and she was a ghost.
Doo,
But
doo,
yeah,
doo, doo.
yeah, I thought that was really cool. Yeah, it totally went fly today, but yeah, that's something I totally forgot um, about this film.
Yeah. Well, and I really enjoyed that too, not knowing. I love that's another thing too I love about these franchises is how the lore changes throughout the films because they have to, I mean, they just have to keep going back to the writer's room to reinvent. You kill him for one movie, but you got to find a way to bring him back for the sequel. So I just kind of love seeing how their lore evolves and their backstory and all that stuff. And when you see the nun that she's not quite human, but you don't obviously get the full story. So I kind of
Yeah,
like how they save that and kind of reveal it bit by bit. But what I couldn't help but think too when I was watching this is, I thought she was the freakiest part of the movie because you know that she's dead or haunting the place in some way, and I was like, oh man, I wonder if this is where like James Wan was kind of inspired for the Nun when he's talking about that in the second Conjuring movie because
oh yeah, yeah. I haven't
I
seen
don't
that,
think it's
but
yeah, I don't think
yeah,
it's so far fetched to say. And granted, that figure comes up a couple times. Like I think in The Exorcist 3, one of the more famous jump scenes, I think that's a nun as well. But I think like if there's a subcategory of scary nuns in a movie, like this has got to be up there.
yeah, I'm there with you. Yeah, that's a good call out. I would have never made that connection before.
Yeah, it just
So
kind
is
of
the
hit me as I was watching it.
yeah? So is the Nun? Is that a sequel to a movie you're saying?
So,
Or
how familiar are you with the Conjuring franchise?
zero?
Zero? Okay. Okay. So, it's I guess I'll break it down for you and maybe some of our listeners who aren't familiar, but
Yeah.
it kind of follows the I don't want to say adventures, but for the sake of description here, we'll say Adventures of Two Demonologists. Their names are Ed and Lorraine Warren, real people, and they claim to be psychic or mediums, and they have all of these haunted artifacts, and they have cleansed multiple houses and people. Anyway, so there was the first Conjuring film, and then there was a second Conjuring film, and in the second Conjuring film, he introduces the character of the nun, and
Okay.
she only gets a couple scenes. He doesn't really flesh it out, just like this ancient demon that's haunting Lorraine, and
Yeah.
those scenes are terrifying. Like that's some of my favorite scenes in a horror movie are the nun in The Conjuring 2. So scary, and it's so well done. But then she got her own spin-off, the movie that came out 2 years ago, The Nun.
Okay. Yeah.
So
All right.
that's what she's from. So
Cool.
yeah,
I may have to check this out.
yeah. The first two Conjuring films are great. I think they're legitimately scary if you like haunted house movies and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll add that to the list. Maybe we'll have to cover that for a monster closet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
love to. Yeah,
All right. Yeah, some other things I want to touch on is like just other things like while watching this, it's like you start all these like I could just feel the synapses. I'm sorry, the synapses triggering in my brain cells while I'm watching this movie, and like these memories coming back is when you hear the Freddy's, like the 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you, 3, 4,
yeah.
better lock your door. And I know for the longest time, like I can never remember like the real version of that song. I always knew the Freddy version of the song. So like when it came to try to like sing this to my kids, I would just have to be like da 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 da, da like because I didn't know what the real words to it were. Like I would be like, oh yeah, 5, 6, grab a crucifix. Wait, whoa, whoa, back it up.
Whoa.
But yeah, and I like how at least I was watching. Again, I was just like I just wanted to catch up quick on some of those, like, at least like the first 5 Freddy movies, and there's always like the scene with like the girls wearing white in the jump rope singing that song. So it's always like a little added touch I'd like to this, a part of this franchise.
Yeah.
Let's see. And so just a little bit about the cast. As I was trying to do some prep for this episode, Robert Englund in 1983. Do you ever remember the TV memory? Or you probably don't remember it because it was before you were born. But ever heard of the TV miniseries V?
No. Oh wait, I've heard of it. I don't know it. I've seen the like poster art or whatever.
Yeah, so like it aired in 1983 and 1984 was the second season, and Robert Englund played a character, Willie, in that first season in 1983. And yeah, I was just pulling up and just seeing like those images, like, oh shit, like yeah, I totally remember this. Like essentially about these aliens that come to Earth, but they disguise themselves as humans, but they're like actually like lizard people, which is like some, straight up God, what's that crazy guy's name? I always talks about the lizard people. Tries to sell you silver.
Alex Jones
Alex Jones, thank you. Yep.
tries to sell you silver.
Let's see here. Hey, listen here. Yeah, Craig Wasson, who plays the doctor, Neil Gordon. Totally, like,
Okay.
I did have to actually check. I was like, is that Bill Maher? Because that's fucking weird. He looks just like Bill Maher. If I didn't imagine Bill Maher like, 30 years ago. And it's like, yeah, it totally looks like Bill Maher.
Yeah. Before the gray.
But yeah, I think I already added this already. But yeah, this was Patricia Arquette's first role. But that's all I really had on the cast. I was just like, I just was entertained at the fact that I remember now Robert Englund being a Willie from the miniseries V.
Nice. We did mention Lawrence
Nice.
Fishburne. I was glad he survived it
Oh
too.
yeah, yeah. I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to talk about that. But yeah,
As
he was
Larry Fishburne in the credits.
let's see here. Man, we've had a pretty solid discussion on this.
I know.
Almost to an hour, so.
Do you want to go off on Dokken?
Yeah, so let's talk about the score. So one of the things I do remember most about this movie is the Dokken song of Dream Warriors, because if you just gave somebody this song, you'd be like, yeah, this is 80s like rock in like a capsule, like totally is like a, like the, I don't know, it's just so perfect. I was actually listening to it before we were recording, and I don't know. I forgot I was going to text you. I was like, you got to listen to the song before we record. I got to just like get you in the mood for Dream Warriors. Not
Dokken
gonna dream
shreds.
no more. Fuck, right? Yeah. That Dokken was like, too, like if you had like a rock band or a metal band, you just had to have like a really badass, like, font to your band title. Because like Dokken looks cool, but I mean, it's kind of deceiving for the most part. But outside of Dokken doing the, like the title song for the film, the rest of the score was composed by, I'm sorry if I mutilate this, but was composed by Angelo Badalamenti, I think is how you pronounce it. Badalamenti.
I couldn't have said it better.
And who is which I've known a lot through just a lot of like David Lynch's work. So from like Twin Peaks and Mulholland Drive and The Lost Highway, some really cool music. But like I didn't think he even scored like the most recent Twin Peaks series. I can't remember the name of it. It's like Twin Peaks something. But he also scored a part of that was as well. So kind of like cool, like I don't know, it's kind of like some weird, like cool, like jazz. I don't know, kind of trippy sounding, but pretty cool music. Check it out.
It works. Especially
What's that?
Sound is so. I said it works. Sound is so
Yeah.
key to a horror movie too.
Yeah.
So I think that it better for it.
Yeah, and it kind of matches too, because like it. I don't know if you've seen Mulholland Drive or Lost Highway. Like those are.
I haven't.
I don't know if like Lost Highway is considered like a horror movie, but I would probably consider it like a horror film. It's fucking weird, but it creeped me out. Like I watched it before I flew back home from California when I was like 19, and like there's some imagery in that movie that just like stuck with me like that entire evening.
Yeah. I think it's fair to call David Lynch horror. It depends on the movie, I suppose, but I don't think that's too far off.
Yeah. Then I wanted to share with you my Freddy Krueger Halloween costume story.
Oh yes, please do.
So it was probably not too long after this movie came out, and maybe like I was probably 10 or 11. This was when we lived in Texas, and first off, like my mom never really let me go trick or treating. So I never really like, if it was just like to the neighbor's house and come back, or she would just buy me candy because my mom was always paranoid that someone was going to put like razor blades or drugs in my candy. So, but yeah, one year I was like, well, first off, I think because I had like a Starlog magazine, and there was like an order form in there where you can order like a Freddy Krueger mask, and my mom wasn't down with that. She wasn't going to let me order this mask. Plus, it was like probably like close to $100, and like $100 in like 1988 was a shit ton of money. And so I was like, oh, I'm gonna make my own. So I took like one of my dad's like work gloves and like cut out like a hole in the back of the glove. Then I took toggle bolts. I don't know if you know what those are. They kind of almost look like they're essentially for like you can use them as like sheetrock anchors, so you can like plug them through like a hole in the wall. Then you can attach something, and there's like they expand. So
Oh yeah,
yeah,
I know what those are.
so I use those as like my knuckles on the glove, and then I cut out like slivers out of like a milk carton to make my Freddy Krueger knives,
Oh, funny.
and then I doused them with fake blood. And that was my
You
Freddy
went all
Krueger.
out.
Was my Freddy Krueger costume. Yep. So I think I went trick or treating. I went to 3 houses.
Did they know who
Went
you were?
no, because I had like an oversight. So my dad was a big guy, and you got to imagine like a guy that probably weighs like close to 300 pounds, like what his work glove size would be. Then like
Oh, big hands.
a 10-year-old putting that glove on his hands with some heavy ass toggle bolts, like super glued. I mean, it's just, I don't know.
I, I would have known. I would have figured it out.
Right. Freddy Krueger, I'm giving you all my candy because you scared the piss out of me.
Take it all. I'm going to bed. You win Halloween.
Oh, man.
That is awesome. So, final question for you. Is it
Yeah.
safe to say then that out of the 3, Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, you would choose Nightmare on Elm Street?
Yeah. Yeah, probably, because I was never really a fan of this is going to hurt you. I know. This is going to hurt you bad. But I was never really a big fan of Halloween or the Friday the 13th movies. They just never done anything for me. So, but hey, maybe I just need to go back and rewatch them, because maybe it's like a kid too. Like sometimes I feel like I was probably watching these movies like way too young. So maybe that's like a Freddy film just because of the stupid one-liners, and like that's probably what caught my attention the most. Because there's not comedy moments like that in those other 2 film franchises. So I would probably
Right.
credit, my feelings towards that movie franchise versus the others.
No, fair enough. Fair enough.
So where do you lean? Do you lean heavy Halloween, or I said Friday the 13th, and I heard some expression from you
So,
on that.
in my fuck, marry, kill of these 3
Okay.
franchises,
All right. I like that.
I'm killing Friday the 13th. I've never been a huge Jason fan, to be
Okay.
honest.
All right.
Those,
I'm there with you.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. The first one's kind of fun, but it's never been my favorite. Um, I would say, yeah, definitely fuck Freddy, which makes sense. He's the most sexual anyway.
Right.
And and they're fun. I mean, I love Dream Warriors. I love the original Nightmare, and the second one is interesting. I've come around on it. It's kind of not as loved out of the series as the others, but yeah, it's really interesting. Just the um, homoerotic subtext that exists in that movie. It's
In the
it's
first one,
aged.
you're saying?
The second one. The
Okay.
second one.
That one,
Yeah.
I don't remember that one as well, so maybe I'll have to go back and
You go back
check
and
that.
watch it. It's
Yeah.
I think it's hailed as I don't want to misquote here, but like one of the gayest horror films of all time, and I don't mean that in any derogatory way. I really don't. Like that's the reputation it has.
Yeah,
And
I read that. Yeah, I was like, Had no idea, but
Yeah, and they're riffing on sexuality with Freddy and dating this guy's body. It's it's really interesting. So I yeah, I would recommend a rewatch on that one. But anyway, I would marry Halloween just because I love the first film so much. And Halloween 2 is awesome, and I even love the remake, the David Gordon Green remake co-written with Danny McBride. It's so good. I love that movie.
like the
So
the comedian actor Danny McBride. Bride?
yeah,
What?
yeah he co-wrote the 2018 Halloween.
Oh fuck! I gotta watch that now.
It's so
Just
good.
cause.
Just cause Jamie Lee Curtis is incredible. It's I love that movie.
Now, I I don't follow these very closely. So this 2018 version was supposed to be like actually like a direct sequel from the original movie. Is
So
that how it was
okay,
billed?
you kind of opened a can of worms, and I'll do my best to close it quickly.
Okay.
But
All right.
it's actually it's pretty controversial in the
Oh.
horror community
Uh
because
oh.
you have you have people who love the films sequentially in the order they were released because it gets a little weird with Michael Myers and his backstory. And frankly,
Yeah.
I don't know all of it because I haven't seen them all. But so there's people who like those films. Then there's the Rob Zombie remakes, which are loved and or hated for different reasons. So this one, and I don't know all the timelines because Halloween H2O has a different timeline as well. That was like the 90s reboot. But for the most recent one, the only films that existed in the Halloween universe were the first one, the first John Carpenter one, and then this one. So there's a legion of
Okay.
fans that hate it because it forgets Halloween's 2 through 6. So but they were super upfront with that, like in the trailers and press release before the movies, and even in the movie. You know, they kind of address some of the stuff that happens. So they say, if you want to watch this, understand that everything else didn't happen except for the first movie.
It
So
was a dream.
it it was a dream. That's right.
That's the perfect segue into like making a Freddy versus Michael Myers movie.
Oh my God, we wrote it. We did it.
We did it.
That's awesome.
Cool. You
Who
got
do
to
you
write
think
that
would win?
script now. Freddy, right?
I would say Freddy too, but I'm not sure Michael Myers dreams. So,
Oh yeah. Well, I don't remember how Freddy and Jason fought in that one either. So,
oh,
because I
let's
imagine a
see.
dead person can't dream either. So
You're right. He had to
he wouldn't
he
need to
had to get
sleep.
them
So
to yeah, he had to get them to revive Jason and then had to was he in Jason's dreams? I can't remember. It was really they did a lot of there was a lot of red tape.
yeah. All right, that concludes this episode of Movie Time Machine, our very first episode, special episode where we redo Jamie and Chad's Monster Closet. So hopefully we could do more of these in the future, and hopefully you enjoy them. If you do, send us a message. You can do that via Twitter. You can find us at Movie Machine Pod. Just find us Movie Time Machine on Twitter. Or if you want to leave reviews, go ahead and leave your questions there. If you want to see any changes, let us know that as well. We'd appreciate your feedback. If you have any questions too, we can read those on our next episode. So that's it for tonight. Again, thanks for listening. Take care of yourself out there. Be safe. And see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.